race that was. And I tell you what, I honestly thought that Colton Herta would get that Rookie of the Year award, but it didn't happen. And don't get me wrong, it's just that I'm a know-it-all, and this is the first time I've been wrong. And I'll be 51 years old. Did I mention that October's the birth of my month of my birth? I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. But yeah, what a great race it was. I digress. But October is one of the best months in this. I love fall. Who's with me on liking fall? Just heard from Steve Wilson from Speedway Digest, editor in chief of Speedway Digest. He's going to be joining us here in a few. So hopefully that we could connect with him. We send our wishes and best wishes to Matthew Embury. I've tried to reach him. I think that he got ate by alligators, and that's unfortunate because, I was just up there in South Bend last weekend, and, I didn't see any alligators, but they must be there. So IndyCar's got themselves a new visor screen, the aero screen, which is really been needed for a long time. I mean, for driver safety. And I think that it looks great. It looks super. Well, I think they're going to be able to roll it out in 2020, if not 2021. I think it's pretty much through all of its testing phases. I know all of IndyCar drivers like the new aero screen, and it's, well, it kind of looks like they're driving around in a Pope Mobile, but hey, it's going to keep them safe. It really does look pretty cool. If you get a chance to go to IndyCar.com and check that out, the new aero screen, and it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. But Scott Dixon and both Scott Dixon and Will Power both said that the IndyCar's new aero screen is ready to race during the first extensive test session for the cockpit protection will debut next season. They're saying, and certainly that's the schedule and that's the hope that we'll get that going. I mean, we've saw some terrible accidents, also some unfortunate accidents where we have lost drivers because of the lack of space there, I should say. Remember a few years ago at the Indianapolis 500, Scott Dixon made a flip almost. I tell you what, he was just within inches. And if you've ever been down to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you know exactly where I'm talking about. He was just within inches of going over the fence line and into the tunnel, and that would have been catastrophic. So to have these cockpit protections, the aero screen protections, it's needed. And so Scott Dixon said it's like a road car. It's just very quiet. I can hear my radio. Usually I can't hear. I can hear the engine. The protection is there. It would be very strange taking it off now. That's Scott Dixon's quote on the new aero screen. Of course, that's going on in the funny season with IndyCar. The aero screen that was developed by Red Bull Advanced Technologies virtually covers the whole open air cockpit. If you're familiar with IndyCar and you follow IndyCar, you know exactly what we're talking about there. It covers that entire area, and an area that was really needed to be with a very clear screen anchored by titanium framework. Its purpose is to protect drivers from flying debris, and that's certainly very, very dangerous, especially when you're going at the speeds that IndyCar flies around down. So joining us now, though, Steve Wilson, our official NASCAR contributor. Steve, welcome to The Balance. welcome back. How are you, sir?
I'm making it. I'm at least trying to make it at least today.
Well, I hope you get to feeling better. I know offline I won't get into it on the air here, but I know you're working through some medical issues, and our prayers go up to you and to your Nationals. Hey, the Dodgers, the Nationals, man. But you know what? You snuck in to the playoff seasons of the Nationals. Did you want to chime in on your Nationals a little bit?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised at the fact that they weren't able to get into the postseason this year. I watched some of the game the other night and kind of turned it off, and it didn't look like we had much of a chance going there. And I guess after I had turned it off, the whole game turned around on a mistake, and we were able to get in there right under it. So good for them. I think they got a tough road. I really do think they have a tough road, but
sure.
Nonetheless, it's good to see them in the postseason this year, as well as my American League team, the Minnesota Twins, able to make it in. But they're going against the Yankees at this point, so we all know how that usually ends up.
It's dangerous, and it's the best of five. We'll see what happens with the Yankees, but the Yankees were not a surprise this year. We've seen what they've been able to do, but the Twins are certainly a home run hit powerhouse. Hopefully that plays out for them. We'll see what happens. I'm not a big Yankee fan. I'm not a Yankee hater, but you get tired of seeing the same people win all the time. But honestly, I think we're going to see a Yankees Astros World Series. As much as I love my Cardinals, they're tied up 1-1 there with the Braves. Moving it back to St. Louis tomorrow, we'll see what happens. But yeah, certainly the Yankees and the Twins did some stuff. We were talking a little bit earlier before you called in about the new IndyCar aero kit cockpit cover, if you will, and certainly in NASCAR they don't have that open air issues to deal with and contend with. But as we look at driver safety in IndyCar, this is a huge addition. Both Will Power and Scott Dixon said that it's fantastic. I saw the draw ups and photographs of it. What are your thoughts about IndyCar and the new? We'll joke around about it, but it kind of looks like it's driving around in the Pope Mobile, but it's very well needed protection there in IndyCar and open wheel racing.
I think if you look at the incidents that we've continued to accrue in IndyCar, I think IndyCar, after the incident out at Vegas a couple of years ago, I think they were kind of slow to react on some of the safety enhancements. And then, we go to Pocono and we have similar type events out there. Pocono has since lost their race. That race is going to move to Richmond in 2020. But, I think IndyCar was a little bit slow to react. We've had, multiple incidents over the last handful of years or so. Whereas, we used to see a lot of innovation out of them. We saw the safer barrier come out of IndyCar. Predominantly Indy Motor Speedway and the family up there financing that whole effort to bring driver safety on, and it's taken this long to. I know a lot of open wheel fans have probably disagree with the fact that they want to see these cockpit safety measures implemented, but for the safety of the drivers going forward, I think that we have to look at that predominantly, and it's really just about the safety of the drivers. And we all understand that racing is a very inherently dangerous sport, and if it can happen, it will happen. But if it will save lives, if it will prevent injuries, then I'm kind of all for it. I would have thought that as IndyCar evolved over the years, I would like to have seen them done this earlier, but that's kind of a shoulda, coulda, woulda statement. I don't think they wanted anybody to get hurt. I don't think that they wanted anybody to die. I don't think that they ever thought, obviously anything can happen, but I don't really think that they wanted these types of things to happen. So, the reaction sometimes, in motorsports, there's sometimes more of a reaction than there is, being proactive to incidents. And I think this was a reactive statement by IndyCar to put these on the drivers' cockpits to help maybe prevent some of these issues in the future.
Absolutely. We're talking with Steve Wilson, Speedway Digest. Steve, again, I appreciate you taking some time to join us. I know you're feeling a little bit underneath the weather, and so we do definitely want you to know we appreciate it. Let's kind of move on over to NASCAR. Certainly we'll get into the races in Dover this weekend, but let's take a peek into the Gander Truck Series. All eyes are on Brett Moffitt, Austin Hill, Ross Chastain, and Stuart Fresson. Those are who we're watching in the Truck Series. What say you, sir?
I think we've got a very strong contingent at this point. It's a little bit sad that Johnny Slaughter and Grant Enfinger were put out of the playoffs after engine issues that were inflicted upon not just ThorSport but other teams by a common engine supplier who admitted fault to problems with the engineering in their engines for that event. NASCAR did deny a waiver that would have allowed Grant Enfinger and Johnny Sauter to continue on to the next round on a waiver type as they have done in the past. But we've got to move forward. We've got to move on. This is a very strong contingent. It really is. Brett Moffitt over at GMS Racing, he picked up exactly where he had left off at Austin Hill. That's with HRE, the defending champions in the sport. They have shown that with a small team, they can do a lot of different things. And I think the same can be said for both Ross Chastain also, who that Nice Motorsports team is starting to become a powerhouse in the sport. They're getting the needed help that they so desperately needed to really field a competitive team. And you also got Stuart Friesen, who's that dirt car guy that has been in the Truck Series, and the one common factor between at least the majority of the contenders in the sport is that they're getting some kind of help from GMS Racing, which seems to be the powerhouse in the Truck Series at this point.
We're talking with Steve Wilson, Editor-in-Chief of Speedway Digest. Steve, October, the best month of the year. That's because it's, I don't know how many times in a 2-hour period I'm going to say this, but it's the month of my birth. I'll be 51 years old on October 23rd. So October is the best month of the year. But not only because of that, but the MLB's in the playoffs. But not only is the MLB in the playoffs, NASCAR's in the playoffs, Xfinity Series in the playoffs, and rolling to Dover International Speedway, certainly with Christopher Bale, Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick, Austin Cedric, Justin Allgaier, Chase Briscoe, and Noah Gragson, and Michael Annett, all rounding out who we're watching in the playoff series with the Xfinity Series, sir. Let's talk playoffs. Let's talk NASCAR. Let's talk Xfinity. Let's talk Dover. What say you?
Well, I
My
think
Siri went off. I was going off so much Siri decided to chime in. I forgot that she was going to call in the show. Go right ahead.
When it comes to Christopher Bell, you look at what he's done this season already. He's got about 5 or 6 different wins, multiple tracks. So he's very tough, and that Joe Gibbs racing team right now is probably one of the toughest to beat that there is out there. But Tyler Reddick and Richard Childress Racing seem to be able to to pick that flag up a little bit. And